Welcome to Sex and Breakfast, the sexy way to start your day. Dishing out sexpert advice and spicy insights about sex, love, and everything in between. Hosted by sex coaches and therapists from around the globe. Heating up some leftovers. This is part 2 of Play Parties. Currently, Dr. Norelyn picking up on when you're interested, but your partner is not.
Let me know your thoughts in this realm. If you were helping a client or couple through navigating this piece of the discussion, or if you have personal experience you would love to share of how other parties set up safe containers, what are your thoughts on that?
I have clients a couple who the woman has, before she got married to the man she's with right now, had tons of experience at play parties and alternative lifestyles, and the man she married is extremely vanilla, and they're in a place where they've been married for a significant amount of time, and by significant, I haven't asked what that meant yet. I was just like, okay, well, they're only like in their 30s, but it could have been since their 20s. But it's this thing where she's looking to spice things up, and so we're talking about, well, have you had a conversation about boundaries specifically with your partner? Do you think that he would be open, because he's not into BDSM or any kink of any kind whatsoever? That's been established, and she loves it. So it's this thing where maybe even the allowance of her going and, like you said, creating this safe container for her to experience the parties and then come back with stories from the parties to maybe spice up their relationship and their sex life would be good. So they're in the process of kind of exploring that piece. And
so to clarify, you're saying one person is going to go to the party and the other person's opting not to.
Yes.
That's a whole other way to do things.
And that's what I have personally done with my partner in the past as well. And it worked really beautifully. That's why I felt confident in recommending that strategy with her and her partner, and they're exploring things right now. But I think I love this piece about just being really clear about the boundaries, and that could tie into like even having a time where you're exploring. Nicole, in a past episode, we talked about the yes, no, maybe list, and kind of bringing that into the conversation. Or Dr. Norelyn, I know you also have the BDSM checklist that we've talked about before. So just kind of really being communicative about what it is you're both looking for in the experience of whatever experience that is, on top of what you are, like being safe with STIs and all that kind of thing.
And Dominique, just to share for people that haven't listened to that episode, and maybe I'll just put it in all the episodes now. But the yes, no, maybe list is just a whole bunch of sexual activities that you and your partner, again, we're kind of talking in a partner situation, but you can also use this for yourself before you go to a party if you are not in a relationship, where you can kind of go through it. I think it's like 4, 5, 6 pages long. It's pretty long and extensive, but then you can go through it and be like, oh, that's a hard no. That's a maybe. That's a yes. Like, I definitely want to do that. And then you can compare it with your partner. Even if they don't want to go, they could be talking about like, what are they comfortable with you doing? And you can both fill it out and then look at it and have a conversation together and be like, where are we aligned? Where are we not? And what are we going to agree upon based off of our yeses, our nos, and our maybes?
Love that. I love that reminder that we could use that checklist for ourselves.
I also want to add, I think you also mentioned in the previous episode this big thing around don't yuck my yum. And you really need to have that sense of compassion when your partner open up and they noticing this is actually in the spirit of openness, right? And they want to be together with you. They're vulnerable with all their desire and fantasy. And so listen with compassion, um, even if it may be not aligned yet with your values, before you shut it down and condemn the other party. So I think the safety also, um, something to do with the psychological safety. So psychological safety is about how can you receive the other party fantasy and vulnerability and desire, um, with such gentleness and openness and curiosity. That's really important, um, experience that I see in my coaching and therapy room.
Thanks for bringing that up again. The don't yuck my yum. Play party spaces can be a way for some yucks to turn to yums in safe containers, or at the very least, you can witness others enjoying something that kind of bristles up against you. And even if you're not yucking your partner's yum and you hear them out and you support them and you're holding space for them, but you just say this is not for you, it can be this container could be bridging the gap between your partner getting to experience that with somebody else, or at least just witnessing it IRL, which can be a very powerful and healing experience, especially if that's not something that you and your partner will ever enjoy, which is totally fine. But this can be just a beautiful place to get to experience that, whatever that is.
I did want to say under safety, is safety, right? Or just how to,
Yeah.
yeah. One thing that I know is just common in general when people are nervous or excited or they're like, "Ugh," is that they might want to kind of like lessen that tension or feeling with alcohol or any type of like um, drug or whatever. And I really always recommend that if you are a first timer or just nervous or whatever, you really want to be in complete control of your mind, your body, and be able to make 100% consent to whatever is happening at the party. And so just be mindful of like the feelings that you're having and try to remain as sober and present as possible, prior and while going to your party.
Such an important piece. And this is going to be in a party newbie checklist that I'm going to link in the show notes of some things that you can ask the party host. And one of them is this a dry event? Is this a substance-free event? And being sure to be very particular about that, especially in states like California, where cannabis is legal. A party may be dry in the sense that alcohol is not present, but cannabis may be allowed. And so you have to make your own risk assessments and own personal and within your relationship what sober means to you in this environment and how you want to handle that when selecting your party. So yes, thank you for bringing that up, Nicole. That's really, really important. And I think I see across the board, and even parties, in my opinion, I think this is great, but I know you said, especially if you're a newbie, but I would argue that even if you're really experienced, I really do question the usage of um, alcohol or cannabis in these spaces, period, because even though you're experienced, there's other people who may be at varying levels of experience, and that stuff you can't control for. So I think it's really something to consider across the board. So I'm
So,
also go
oh,
ahead.
I'm just a thought come across my mind.
Yeah.
It's just like any other party. It does. Okay, if you add play party, it becomes laden with something, right?
Yeah.
It's added excitement. But in any other party, I mean, if we approach Thanksgiving party, right, we will ask, okay, who's the host? Who's hosting this party? What kind of food they will serve? What kind of dress code? So there's all this kind of preparation, right? Where will I be seated to? Will I be sitting next to the grandma, or will I be sitting next to, I don't want to be sitting next to this uncle. So there's this kind of conversation going on, right? I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, I think that's an excellent point. When you're crafting your own list of things to ask the host and check in with your partner about, pretend this is any other party to start off with. What would you like to know before going into it? That's level one, and then you can add the other layer of that it's a play space. But totally, what food? What are the expectations of me? What do I expect of the host? Where's the parking? You know, we want to reduce all the stressors
If
we
I'm a
can.
vegetarian, do I bring my own dish?
Yeah. One of my favorite moments is regarding food. There was going to be some just snacks. A lot of these private house play parties will have some snacks because you tend to get very hungry at these things. um, and I was asked if I had any food allergies, and I thought that was so thoughtful. But I was like, well, it's fine. I am allergic to nuts, but I just won't eat them if they're on this table. And the party host was like, but what if you make out with somebody who has just eaten nuts? And I was like, oh my God. So they were being a very, very responsible party host to make sure that there was no nuts on the premises so that there was no accidental contamination. But jokes aside, I mean, it's a real thing. These are things to know before you sign up for a play party.
And no durians. Here we go.
No
My
durians.
durian joke is coming back in again.
I would like to actually say also, I want to also chime in on the, I mean, I've been to different parties, different kinds of play parties where these are like huge parties, right? Where there's
Whoa.
like hundreds of people, and there is alcohol at the party. It's in a warehouse, and the bottom floor is the dancing, and they have hors d'oeuvres and alcohol, and they have the cuddle spaces and performers, and then upstairs is the place where there's the actual sexual intimate acts happening. So that was my first play party experience, and it was really
Whoa.
intense. Yeah, I know, it was really intense. My friend and I went, and yeah, that was just like, whoa, this is in San Francisco. And then, you know, having been to other parties where they're dry parties and no alcohol, like I just feel like I felt like I could make better decisions. And um, it's just something like, I love what you both said about it, you know, no cannabis, no any kind of drugs, be just be having a clear space in your brain to make these decisions is so important.
And I would argue that with depending on the activities that occur, there is enough energy just around you where you enter an altered state. So that's something also to um, consider with yourself. And if you've had previous experiences, let's say you know that you easily go into subspace while you're playing privately, and subspace is basically the altered state. If you're submissive and you're being flogged, for example, the sensation of the flogger and the power exchange, you go into this altered state called subspace. And people need different things. um, People need different things, and and once you learn how you are in a private setting, you can apply some of that to the public play space, and you need to be prepared for that. So oftentimes at the smaller play parties I've been to, they also allow for time when, even if the party is going to end at 2 a.m., there's this warning that the party's ending in 45 minutes so that people have enough time to come down, do their aftercare with whomever they've been playing with, and make sure they're honestly able to drive. And I've had play hosts say, the party's technically over, but if you really are still feeling like you're in the clouds, and these are dry parties, no substances were allowed, but if you're still feeling like you were in the clouds, take the time you need, so that you can feel ready and grounded enough to drive home. So yeah, there's just so much energy going around these places. So I can't not imagine, Dominique, what a warehouse size play party. My parties have been 30 people max.
Oh no,
So,
this was huge warehouse,
whew.
hundreds of people, and it was, invite kind of only, and not a rave by any chance. Have been to those, but it was incredible. It was really incredible, and there's companies that are putting on these types of parties. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but there is one in particular in London. It's a London-based company that's putting on these parties around the world. And it's like I was telling my husband about them, and like I want us to try to go to see, because we've moved past the piece about just me going and experience. He's like, okay, I would like to play now. And I'm like, okay, well, I would love for us to experience this together. So, going and seeing that kind of party and just observing and being there. And they also have similar rules like you described as well. So that's why I will find one and I will go to them, and I'll let you all know.
Yes.
Yes. It's something kittens. I don't remember what it's called. I'll find out.
Oh, does the online type also count?
Online play party?
Mm,
What do you mean?
I think during COVID.
Oh,
Hmm.
Tell us more, Dion.
No,
yeah.
I because you mentioned, I was just reading the same company. Is it called uh, some kitten? I can't remember. And no cats are harmed in the making. Uh, and they start moving the party to online space, and so I guess you go to the Zoom or something, and then you have some rules before, so you can do it in your own home.
Wow, that's really cool.
Mm.
The closest thing I've heard a virtual sort of space was a like a group self-pleasuring um masturbation session. So cameras were off, but audio was on, and the idea was for it to be I think something like I'm thinking of Barbara Carellis's term medibation, masturbation and meditation. So it's kind of sort of like a witchy energy orgasm sort of manifestation type thing, but I feel like that's close to what you're saying. But adding this element of it being a play party virtually is really interesting.
Just something that I read during COVID. You have plenty of time to read and research on things.
Yeah, I just want to bring this conversation full circle and um, just leave the listeners with the fact that not all sex parties are indeed sex parties. There's so many different kinds, and there's also differences between the size and benefits, pros and cons of each. So I think it's really important to do your research. But there's many different communities that provide um, the safe information to help you make make you help you make informed decisions about which type of play party. And there's also, it's really important to think about the conversations you want to have with your partner, and also the reasons why, as Dion was saying, the reasons why you want to attend in the first place. And there could be other routes to get to reach your goals. So If anyone has any closing thoughts on this exciting topic of play parties, jump in now. Otherwise, we will wrap up for today.
Again, for me, it's about mutual consent and aligned values. If the both values are not aligned, don't explore further, explore different avenue. And values could be religious values, personal values, intimate values, and yeah, explore that, and don't just make assumption around that as well. So have a conversation.
Yeah, I would say communicate excuse me, communicate boundaries explicitly.
Yeah.
And be prepared to have a delicious time, really. Yeah, think positive.
I gotta find a warehouse party. That's
Oh. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll tell you what it was. Remember, we talked about it. I think I told you about it.
Shh.
Shh. Never mind.
I would just end
Nicole.
with saying that if this is a topic that you're intrigued about, you're interested about, and you're like, wow, how do I get more information? Seeing a sex coach is a great way to get introduced or talk to your partner about it. FetLife is a great resource to find parties. Sometimes possibly meetups and Facebook groups. So the world is your oyster, and come back and share with us.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, send us some love by sharing, hitting subscribe, and leave a review. It really helps us connect to more incredible people like you. If you want to learn more about sex coaching or therapy, you can find us at sexandbreakfastpodcast.com, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at sexandbreakfastpodcast. The people helping us cook this all up are Michael Merle, creating our tasty tunes, dishing out our audio and video is Max Rainier, and our delectable visual designs by Brie Vilaubi.